Well, all right. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening to all of you. You guys know who I am. I'm Anita, and this is the Awareness Shift Energy Exchange podcast. And I'm going to, so I don't forget, I'm going to put on the comments. I just want to say, those of you who are with us, sharing your beautiful energy with us at this time during the live broadcast, we love, welcome, and appreciate you, and those who will be watching it. Hello, we have one already. Bless your heart. If you could post your name, I like to give a shout out of those who will be watching the replay. We love and embrace and appreciate you as well. Well, I just want to say that I am so honored and thrilled to celebrate my son, Reverend Reg. Okay. And before we get, hello there. Hello. Thank you so much for joining. And before we get into Reverend
Hello
Reg,
there, everyone.
before we get into just sharing that dialogue, that energy exchange dialogue, I want to share a little bit about my son, Reverend Reg. Okay, Reverend Reg Tan, also known as Coach Reg, is a generalist professional focused on doing research and writing work for CEOs and fine artists in the Philippines these days. She's also taken clients in the corporate world and music from Europe and Canada for content writing and copy reviews. Her influence marketing work includes clients from California and Houston, Texas. Thank you for the love. At the moment, she takes care of 30 cats daily, depending on her multiple freelance jobs. Since she's single and part of the LGBTQIA plus community, she sees her cats as her children. Reverend Reg is straightforward and authentic when it comes to her interactions with clients and is always helping to make a win 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 situation. This includes a win for the client to get great value. You know what? I'm going to stop right here because when I saw that win win win, normally we know the win win situation that Sean Colby, 7 Habits for Healthy Kids. When I read the win win win, I said, okay, that really piques my interest. So again, you guys, welcome. Be comfortable, sit back, and I hope you enjoy this podcast with my son and I. And now, Reverend Reg, getting right to it, please share with us, what do you mean by the win, win, win situation?
Yes. Nabuhay, everyone. My name is Reverend Reg, and I'm based in Manila. So, good morning to our viewers in Michigan and the US, other states in the US, and also good evening to my friends here in Manila. So, Mom, you mentioned about the three wins. It's really
Yeah.
my intention. It's my full intention that when I'm working with a client, it has to be a feeling of satisfaction where we're waiting for our collaboration, and at the same time we're seeing progress from the idea of the project to how we're actually making it a reality.
Okay, and how do you go? That's very interesting. So you go from your intention, because that's really cool. A lot of times, we do a lot of goal setting. However, I really believe that there's a difference between goal setting and intention. So when you said you set your intention to make something a reality, now
Yes.
that brings me to my question, my very well, I guess my second question to you. In this intention setting and making this a reality for yourself and your clients, what practices do you use to manifest that reality?
Awesome. Thank you for that question. And I think it's very helpful to our viewers. First, I want to share an insight that I got from Google when they were starting out, which I think is very helpful to all of us.
Mhm.
Because in terms of what I do in research, in writing, and then followed by influencer marketing, one of the things that a lot of people have an oversight is that everybody's thinking if you had a previous campaign that was successful, the same formula you had before is supposed to be applicable for my product, service, or advocacy. But what made Google super successful today was that Sergey Brin and Larry Page, the co-founders, the visionary co-founders of Google, when they were building Google from the very beginning, they hired the top marketing experts in the US. And everybody was suggesting their previous formulas for success to make it successful. But Sergey and Larry, they were a startup company and it's a visionary online product.
Okay.
And everybody was suggesting, we used to do road shows, we used to do this for the previous brand that I covered. And mind you, these were the top people in marketing already in the States. But then Sergey and Larry were saying, no, we're pushing you towards what's not been done before.
I
And
know
it was
that.
actually financially risky on the part of Google because it hasn't been tried. So that means there were a lot of room for mistakes because there was a lot of investment in the maybe let's try this because it's most likely to win. But Sergey and Larry, they did not opt for that. What they were pushing the marketing people in Google at that time was you have to do something that's never been done before. And there were a lot of trial and error when they were doing it. But the good thing about Sergey and Larry, they gave their people the freedom to keep experimenting until they found what worked for Google. So what I'm trying to say now to our viewers, let's say you have a product, service, or advocacy. I want to share when Reverend Castle, one of my clients, came up with a poetry book. Mom, I'm so happy you were the winner, remember? With the poetry book. We were campaigning for the sale of the poetry book, and in about 2 weeks, she said to me she made about $400. That was about the time we did the campaign for the poetry book.
Okay.
And to me, since I'm what you will consider a nano influencer, I have below 5,000 followers. What I did, she paid me for my service, but I wanted to make sure that we were getting the most value for her money. So I went to a Spanish buffet restaurant with what would you call that? A band of Spanish musicians.
Okay.
And then what I did as the marketing person was to ask them to sing La Vie en Rose, en Rose. I'm not really sure how you pronounce it in French. So what I did for Reverend Castle to promote her poetry book and suggested a contest with you who participated and
Yes.
won also.
Yes.
So you see, for me, I think sometimes we're thinking that this product, service, and advocacy, if you have a previous formula that worked before, it has to work for every product, service, or advocacy. And honestly, it doesn't work that way. I think this is where our metaphysical background comes in very handy because we meditate, we ask the higher power, what's our next move? What's our next right move? And this is also one of the reasons why I was raving about guesting on my mom's show, Dr. Anita, because she has about 5,000 followers right now. But I think it was 2 years ago or 3 years ago when she did a campaign and raised a million. Was it $1 million or a million something for Burkina Faso, the school?
Oh,
How much was
32, 32,000 for the school.
Yeah, $32,000. So of course, the marketing campaign for the school was different from the marketing campaign for the poetry book. And this is where I want to emphasize how important it is to partner up with an influencer who has some level of results in terms of getting the money portion accomplished. You know,
Absolutely. I love
because
that. I love that,
because
my son.
this is what we're saying. Even Forbes is validating what I'm saying. It's not about the how big the followers of your influencer is. It's about how much trust rating do they have with their followers. Because my mom was able to complete the Burkina Faso goal of $32,000. She was actually teary eyed when she accomplished the goal. And at some point, when we were doing it every week, she was thinking, will I be actually able to hit the target of $32,000? You
Yeah.
know? And
Mhm.
I saw how overjoyed you were when you were able to actually complete the goal. So you
Yeah.
see, for the nano influencers and the micro influencers in terms of marketing, the most important factor is how much do people trust you? How much heart connection does your audience have with you? Because even if you have the biggest number of followers, but if people were thinking you're just a strategist and you're not really an advocate of the product, the service, or whatever advocacy you're launching into, they're not going to support you financially.
Okay, so here, let's stop that right
So
there.
that's
Hold on, Reverend Reg. Okay, hold on, my son, because yeah, I know I want to stop right there because you said something very, very powerful. First of all, I want to say, I love that when you were talking about the school because it just brought something back to me that when you said intention. So it's one of those when we set an intention, the manifestation will come because of the passion with it.
yes.
Now, but what I want to ask you though, and that's all in life, it's not just about business, because not everything we do is it comes around professional. We tend to get that way where we tend to be so busy into our business, but there's no difference between personal life and professional life. But what I want to ask you is you mentioned the difference between a strategist and a influencer. Please share with us the difference in. Hello, thank you for the love. God bless you. I wish you would put your name down there for me so we could give you a shout out. But that's cool. I feel your energy. I know you're here. So, my son, please share with us what's the difference with that.
Because when we talk about strategists, these are usually for big brands already. So uh, let's say they're a big corporation already, and they want to get their sales out there. Let's say the
Okay.
product is noodles,
Okay.
and we know that noodles it's edible. There's not a lot of convincing that needs to be made around noodles, you know. So you'll get a strategist, and normally what they usually do are their proven marketing formulas already out in the market.
Got
So the audience, the followers, they know that of course they're going to make a sale. Of course they're going to say those things so that we can buy the food, whatever. You know?
Okay. All right.
But with the influencer, the people who are actually following the influencer, like you, mom, your followers, we follow you not exactly because of what you're selling, but because of who you are as a person and what you stand for.
Okay.
Like, whatever you say to us, because we already like you as a person, we're gonna buy. Not necessarily because of the product, service, or the advocacy, but because of who you are as a person. It's like we're sold whatever you say.
Bless your heart. I love you. I love you, my son. That's so cool. When you mentioned back too, I love this conversation because when you went back to when Google said, no, 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 we're not going to go with the tried and the true. I mean, that's tried and true, but we want to do something different because that there's so much more to the ideas of creativity that we don't have to stick with the tried and true. I love that because in essence, when I heard you speaking, in my mind, I'm thinking, it's one of those. Let's follow our heart as opposed to our head. Our head tells us that this is what's going to work. This is what's going to work. But our heart says, no, there's so much more. There's so much more that you can get from this if you follow and trust your heart. That's what I got from that. Am I on the right path with that thing? Was saying that?
Yes. I love that you're talking about the heart, mom, because You know that I volunteer for the Heart Math Institute for the Global Coherence Initiative, especially during the lockdown. And at the same time, aside from the volunteer work that I did for Heart Math, I'm also completing my scholarship as a yoga teacher. And in yoga, we're always talking about, expanding your heart field, because a lot of times we're pushing sales, but if people don't feel your authenticity, then people are going to be turned away from what you're proposing to them or what you're advocating for.
Okay.
And right now, I'm in the space where I feel I'm becoming more integrated with all the things that I've learned from University of Metaphysics, from the
Mhm.
Mighty Heart course in
Mhm.
London, and at the same time, my yoga practice.
Mhm.
Because one of the things that's really stopping us from fully achieving our goals when we're starting to sell any product, service, or advocacy is that people can feel you when you're not being sincere to them. And a
Okay.
lot of times, when it's the brain that's guiding you, it wants to be careful, it wants to hold back information. Oh, they're
Mhm.
not gonna like me if I say that. They're not
Mhm.
going to buy if I'm going to be very authentic because it's a sign of weakness or that I'm inadequate, you know?
I do. I know. I do. Now, let me see. You just mentioned authentic. Now, I want to ask you because there was a time, and it stopped me, and I'm still kind of, I'm learning. Well, I'm learning more about the thing. But I had been, I embraced metaphysics in the 80s, and I have been meditating ever since then. And our family, is experiencing some challenges. Well, last year, this is 2025, yeah, last year, maybe the beginning, winter, something, I was meditating as I normally would do, and in the practice that I would do. And I was deep in the meditation, and I received it. You call it a feel heard. It's like you're talking, but you're not. I don't know how to explain it. Anyway, I received. I'm just going to say, for lack of better vocabulary or whatever, I received a message that everything is one of those, because of what I experienced through my life, that everything with my children and the extension,
Wow.
they're going to be fine, because it's almost like I paid that karmic debt. Well, after that, and I knew that came from spirit. I'm gonna tell you, I knew it. And after that, all hell broke loose in my family. It questioned my faith. It rocked the very foundation of everything I believed in. And then it isn't not until recently that when because I've still been searching, praying. I said, I need help with that. I need to understand what happened with that. And it came. Finally, I reached the point where Spirit showed me where to go. And one thing that I learned is that the ego is the ego, and I know people say the ego bands is that whatever. I don't, whatever. But the ego is so strong. It is so strong that is what the message that I believe, because as a human, as a mom, as the love in me, that's what I wanted. And my personal ego shared that with me because that was a great desire. That was not from
Mhm.
that message from spirit. So my question to you is, how can you tell the difference between your conditional self and your authentic self?
Yeah. Thank you for that question because it's very timely and I'm doing a lot of inner healing right now. That's why I'm doing yoga and tapping. And one of the most powerful meditations that I do every day is the yoga for projecting your authentic self. It's my first meditation every day. And I know that it's really shifted the way I see things, the way I move, because in the past, you know me to organize community events with a lot of people. it's the first time in my life since 2022 where I've spent more time with a cat and now cats and kittens. And I did take care of pets when I was younger. I
Okay.
had I had no history of doing that. But
Mhm.
then when a lot of things were triggering me in 2022, I was really challenged. I felt it was only the cat that was really my constant companion. And I had something to live for and be with every day. And afterwards, I felt I was so surprised, Mom, because what happened to me in 2022 was really traumatic. And
Mhm.
even up to now, I feel that there are still some memories of it that I'm still getting over,
Mhm.
because in 2022, remember, I organized something, an event, and then I was really hoping that the place that I was leasing at that time will give me more time to adjust from the lockdown to not having the lockdown.
Right.
And then they increased the lease on me three times.
They did
And
what?
they increased the lease on me three times.
Oh, okay.
And then this was in the middle of organizing the event. And when I was uh, when I was going through that, some of the people that I was going to give a trophy to, a recognition,
Uh-huh.
and we were buying the trophies from Florida in the US. So it
Right.
would take a lot for us to bring it here. And there were crazy typhoons happening at that time.
Right.
So
'Cause-
I wasn't able to maximize the time because the landlord didn't want me to stay. And he said, there are other people that are going to occupy the place. I don't want you to see each other. I don't want you to see each other face to face. It might turn sour or something. So anyway, when I needed to get some things back, I found out that the next tenants were some of the people I was planning to recognize.
Mhm.
And I was really heartbroken at that time because
I
I
guess.
felt
Yeah.
I'm doing everything I can to provide free marketing work for people through the event.
Right.
And I'm even trying to get trophies here in the Philippines from Florida, which is a very difficult thing to pull off. And I'm gonna find out that the people I'm trying to recognize are also the people that's trying to ruin me.
Oh,
You know, of
yeah.
course, that's so painful. And
Yeah.
the only thing that kept me emotionally afloat at that time was the cat. You know, and the problem with me, maybe because I'm Aquarius, it's hard for me to like really cry.
Okay.
And when I started doing yoga every day at that time, it was only when it was a way to like break my the portion of my heart that wouldn't cry but would finally cry.
Right.
Because at that time I felt what happens to me as an air sign, if there's an issue, if there's an incident, normally I get shocked first. And then it's only a couple of days before I'm able to like process it and cry about it or react to it.
Okay.
So I'm not sure what you call it, but to me that experience was the starting point of why I started caring for cats
Okay.
in a
I
very
wanted Yeah, I wanted to ask you about the cat. So are you saying what helped you with this particular situation, or getting back to the question? So you're saying what is helping you recognize your because we all have our conditioned self. I call it human and divine kind of thing. We're all conditioned by our environment, whatever, global, societal, immediate, community. We all have, we're all part of that. So you saying that how you're able to, and not separate, how you're able to integrate and recognize your conditional self with your authentic self is by way of practicing yoga. Is that what you
Yes.
said? Okay. And you mentioned a particular type of yoga or yoga meditation. I what you said.
Yeah, because the yoga that I practice has a lot of meditations involved in it. It includes
Gotcha.
chanting, and then it includes a lot of meditations as well.
Okay.
So the thing I love about yoga is that it integrates your three brains. The yoga that I practice, we talk about the three brains. You have a gut brain, you have a heart brain, and you have a head brain.
Okay. You have a hard head and what else? What was that
The
third
gut,
one?
the heart, and the head. The gut, the
Oh,
heart, and
gut.
the head.
The gut. Okay, the gut. Now let me ask you this, my son. When you one, do you believe or agree that challenges are opportunities for growth? They present us
Definitely.
with a way to learn a teaching. Life is a teaching. So just in that particular painful experience, can you share with me what teaching that you learned in that experience? What did that
Well,
teach you?
number
What to
one,
do or what not to do?
I learned
Uh,
to stop being naive. I learned to stop being naive
okay. And what does that
because
mean? No,
because
hold on, my son. No, hold on, my son, because I want people. Hey, you guys, I want this to touch them, not just us here. Okay, how did that help you begin to be to stop being naive? What does that mean to you? I mean, I want to go a little deeper here. What does that mean when you say naive?
yeah, because I have a very optimistic and positive view of everyone, especially of teachers and role models and coaches, And that's why I go out of my way to buy trophies because I really believe that when someone is doing a genuine hard work, they're supposed to get recognized because I grew up in a family business. At a very young age, I already had exposure to, what will make people perform their best? What will make people slack off? I already had that idea when I was young. And when I became an adult, I apprenticed for so many different thought leaders of different industries. And there was something that was very significant to me. I found out when I was apprenticing that politics is something that's inevitable in every industry. And I told myself when I organized the Harvest Convention, there's not going to be politics here. It's just genuinely, I believe in this person. I believe in her compassion. I believe in this person's professional capacity. I believe in this person's leadership and initiative. And we're going to recognize them in the Harvest Convention because here they don't have to like prove themselves. No, we're just honoring you because we're just sincerely happy to honor you. You know,
Right, right, absolutely. Now I have a question here. Because I know
and when
many of us, I've been accused of being naive. So I really want to stop there. I really want to stay there here because because I'd like to get some type of like a preventive measure. Now you experienced that pain. You said it taught you not to be naive. I want you to
yes,
please share with us. So we have three people. Thank you so much for the love. We have three people that are watching. Perhaps they're naive as well. What can you share with us how the lesson you learned not to be naive? Share with us your wisdom in how what did you first of all, what was that naivete, and then how did that it went from being naive to not being naive. What was that in between? What occurred or what happened in your heart or whatever where you learned, okay, not to be naive? Like, is it discernment? I need, specific. What was it that took you from being out of that naive situation where that might can prevent us from going into hurt? A little bit of wisdom for us.
Yeah, because I have a very, I think I view the world as someone very innocent. You know, I did that harvest convention because I wanted it to be the one thing in the world that's really coming from the sincerity of someone's heart. That's why they were recognizing thought leaders. I wanted to be the energy in the world who's going to provide that. And when I found out that the people I was trying to recognize were the people who were trying to kick me out, well, I'm organizing this. It was so painful. It was so painful because everything flashed back. Like, you asked me to recommend you to University of Metaphysics so you can be enrolled there and be one of their scholars. I did that because I was so grateful that at some point in my life you were my teacher. And then I'm going to, and mom, it's not like just the one thing. It's my pattern to recognize teachers. You know that in the Harvest Convention, I don't just recognize one. I recognize a lot of people for what I think is coming from the purity of their hearts.
Right.
So for me to go through that, it was so heartbreaking.
Okay,
You
so let
know,
me let me ask you. Let
the
me go
thing
a
that I
little bit.
want everybody to realize is I think yoga teaches you the first meditation that I practice in yoga is to make you magnetic to the right people and to make you deflect the people who don't have sincere intentions for you.
Okay, now we're getting it. Okay, because this is what I wanted from you, my son. All right, so you're saying that what helped you, and let me know if I'm on the right track here. What helped you is that in that experience, that painful experience, you learned discernment.
Yes.
Okay, in that experience, did you also learn? Okay, did it help you trust your did it help you trust you and trusting what you're getting from the energy of other people?
Oh, absolutely. Because,
That's what I
you
wanted. That's what I wanted you to share with people. Okay, yeah, so
yeah,
that can prevent us from going into some type of experience where if we have like whatever practices you used or whatever you learned, then we can also apply that so that we don't get caught up in something and get hurt and experience, so much pain. So
yeah,
that's okay.
uh,
Got it.
one of the things that really helped me with the situation was uh, because before I was so excited, just be a
Yeah.
grateful human being, just appreciate everyone, and everyone will love you the same,
Yeah.
because you don't have bad intentions. That's how I felt before. And when I started learning this yoga, especially that particular meditation, I started attracting to myself people who can really help me expand my professional work, to
Okay.
draw clients who will really value what I do, even in times when I'm very vulnerable, even during times when I'm not at my best. That's one of
Okay.
the most beautiful things about this meditation because it's so difficult to always be at your professional best. But at your authentic best, you're still
Right.
going to attract the right people who will do business with you, who will love you unconditionally, because they've also been through your experience. That's one of the things that I love about this meditation. And you will deflect. People are going to be rude to you if they don't like your energy. So
Okay.
you
So
know
you
you're
just
not good with them anymore.
you just mentioned something else. Okay. You said people that you attract. All right. So what I'm hearing also is that you learned how to change your own energy. Because if in other words, if I'm attracting people that caused me pain. To me, what I just heard you say, when through this yoga meditation, ultimately I was able to change my own energy. Thus, I began to attract people that were for me. So that was
Yes.
is that another
Yes.
lesson that you learned, that hey, I need to go inside here and change some things about me. It's not all about what's out there. I've got to change some things about me. I got to change that,
Yeah,
shift
and
that energy.
yeah, because it's so difficult to be brave and to be your authentic best when
Right.
you're always thinking that I have to be, because your authentic best and your professional best, they are two different vibrations.
You think so?
Yeah, because your
You think
professional
so?
best, you're not 100% healthy all the time. You're not 100% prepared professionally all the time. You know, things can happen. But your authentic best, it will still make you attract the people who are truly for you. Let me give you an example. During the Harvest Convention, there were a lot of things that could have been done better. But I give myself mercy, compassion, understanding, and patience because there was no
Absolutely.
time to practice. And it's so
Right.
difficult to, it's so difficult to bring people everywhere from the globe together.
Right. Right.
And
I
and mind
get it.
you, some people, it wasn't just difficult to bring them together. They were also in a war-torn area. So can you just imagine the pressure for me as someone
Right.
organizing and producing it at the same time? But
Right.
whether it was perfect or not, the blame will always be on me because I was the one who organized
Yeah.
and produced the whole thing. But I take full responsibility for that. Because if I don't dare to do something, then we will never know what to adjust.
Gotcha.
How can we make the future events better if we didn't have that previous experience where this time at least I know, you know what, I think we have to give time for practice. That's one of my takeaways from organizing the event. The second thing was, you know what, you have to work with people who are truly worth organizing the event for. For example, Inga
Okay, we'll
Yurevna.
have to start wrapping it up, my son. Okay, go ahead. Yeah.
Yeah. Inga Yurevna, for example, she's the Russian American model who was one of the speakers, and she was there for the whole 3 days. If there was somebody who had that exposure to the whole event, it was Inga. And
Okay.
and Inga was very patient with me the whole time I was already in distress.
Mhm.
And even after the event, when it did turn out the way I wanted it to be, she was still very excited. Like, I'm so happy with the event that if ever you do
Yeah.
it again next time, I'm still willing to be part of it.
Yeah. Yeah. I get it.
You know,
Yeah.
it was so heartwarming to meet someone like her and to meet
Right.
Tina Brinkley Potts and you, Mom. Because now I wasn't at my professional best, and yet you found out who was the online event worth organizing for. You
Right.
know,
Right.
because
Eh,
when it didn't pan out the way I wanted it to be, at least those people were still willing to work things out with you in the future.
Right, right. Now, before we wrap up, though, I want you to share with those who are watching now, and again, thank you so much, and those who will be watching the replay, share with them how how you can help them in what they're doing, as you said, as a marketer influencer, or as a so you said a
Yeah.
generalist
You know,
professional. So, what can you do to help them, my son? What can you offer?
yeah. Number one, I'm working on being concentrated on ghostwriting right now because my first book project is from a corporation, and they're so busy, but they have amazing experience, decades of experience. So I help them convert their wisdom filled experience into a book format. And I
Okay.
also help them sell their business through a book.
And you can help
So one of
people
the
with
things,
ghostwriting.
write their books. Yeah.
Gotcha.
And I
Okay.
help professionals like them get paid as consultants. So for
Oh,
someone who has 3 decades of experience, if they have a book, I teach them how to convert that into consulting work and get paid at least
oh,
$300 for their experience.
that's beautiful.
And I'm
Okay.
so confident about this. You know why? Because
Right.
part of the research that I did, Harvard in 2023, they have a small book, and the title of the book is How to Keep Your Customers Forever.
Okay.
And they have this 70 pages. It's a very small and short book, but they were only selling it for 480 pesos. So that's
Okay.
about $9.
Uh-huh.
And the following year, they were still selling similar themed books, but this time, they're selling it already for double the price.
Good.
So if you're a client of mine, you have amazing work experience, but you don't know how to convert that into a book format, I can help you convert your experience into a book and then help you use that as your tool to promote what you do professionally and get consulting clients for yourself. Because normally, if you have 3 decades of experience, even if you don't have a PhD or an honoris causa to your name, at least you can charge $300 for your decades worth of experience.
So how does that work, my son? So what, the person would write it out, or you interview them and say, okay, you give me what you do, and then I'll write and create the book.
Yeah,
I love
I
that.
go
I
through
absolutely
a
love
weekly
that.
session with them. I go through a weekly interview session with them. I ask the questions. They give me the answers, and then I read other books also that's going to be relevant to the chapter. I do it for them. I've completed one book for a client, and then I have other clients right now. But my target is if it's about 100 pages, I'm just gonna focus on that because I still practice 100% human writing and 100% human research.
Okay, good. Okay,
So
I was going to ask you as far as the page limit, is there a minimum that you work with and a
yeah,
maximum, or
I
what?
work with a minimum of 50 pages, at
Uh-huh.
least 5 chapters, because one of the things that I want everybody to have an insight on, the suggestions that I make are not just purely from my intuition. The first suggestion I made in the show came from Google. Of course, they're very, very credible. The second
Okay.
suggestion that I'm making now, why it's 50 pages, it's because I have a book of Harvard Business Review, which I bought myself, which I read myself, and I know can really be useful to my potential client in terms of promoting their expertise and their experience.
I really like that idea. Talk about that's very innovative. Talk I've not heard that before. So I'm really impressed. I'm really impressed with that. We're gonna have to talk, my son. I didn't know. I mean, we talk about things, but I guess this is the first time that I'm saying, now I get what he does. I didn't get it before. Okay, so let people know how they can get in touch with you, because we got a lot of coaches and professions, that this seems like this would could really help with their product, creating a product, or even just sharing what they do in book form.
Yeah.
So how can people get in touch with you?
Yeah, please send me an email through Reverend Reg Researcher at gmail.com.
Okay,
Reverend Reg Researcher at gmail.com. And I also have a message me portion in my website that's reverendreg.com. You see,
Reverend
Mom,
Reg.
it's really my passion to, I think I'll always be a student of life. And since I'm a coach for developing human potential, I'll always be amazed at people who have decades of experience, but they don't realize how valuable that is.
Right.
Because I
Yeah,
never get
I love
tired of
that.
attending seminars, courses, buying books. My God, I don't even have a television set in my pad,
Okay. Yeah,
but
that's
I have plenty
wonderful.
of books.
Right, absolutely. I'm a book. I have a whole room full of books. I have a lot. I call it my well, it's my library. Okay, well, we're gonna need to. We well, so our time is up, so we want to come to a close. I want to thank you so much. Before we do, I just want to share with the audience here. If you're interested in being celebrated on the awareness shift, the energy exchange, please email me at tapintoyou@gmail.com. That's TAP, the letter N, the number two, YOU@gmail.com. My website is www.anitacpaul if you're interested in becoming a global peace partner, or if you're interested in becoming a Miracle Teas peace partner. I can share you how to be part of the peace movement globally in our community, all of that, okay? Again, so welcome again, and thank you so much, my son, Reverend Reg, for allowing me to celebrate you on the Energy Exchange podcast, the Awareness Shift. I do hope that you'll be coming again. Any last, final last words that you'd like to share with people? And I want to thank you guys. I just love you, the hearts and everything. God bless you. God bless you. Any
Yeah.
last brief words that you'd like to share with the energies that are connecting with us?
Yeah, there's only one thing I want to share to everyone, and I see this most of the time in my posts. First, it's mabuhay, live from the sanctuary of your heart and go beyond existing. Mabuhay is to be alive, it's a Filipino word, and to live from the sanctuary of your heart and, explore, be curious about yourself, develop yourself, your skills, your
Yeah.
authenticity, and be at your authentic best because you really want to find out how satisfying and delicious life can be, even in the middle of challenging situations when you're at your authentic best.
Oh, we just got a comment. Bless your heart, Ambassador Jeannie Steele. She's one of our new G100 Youth Engagement uh, country chair for UK. Bless your heart for joining us. I really appreciate you. She said, "Brilliant interview and conversation. Thank you. Wish you both well." Yes, my beautiful sister. Wishing you, sending you hugs, and wishing you well as well. And I look forward to talking with you soon because I did leave you. I responded to your email. Bless your heart. Thank you. Thank you. I really appreciate that. Appreciate the comments. See, all right, my son. See, that's what I'm talking about. That one love, one energy. Ain't that something? Okay. All right. Well, thank you all. Thank you so much. We know that the journey and self recovery is absolutely beautiful. And I hope you know so beautiful. Both he and she. So are you. So what are we going to do? We're going to continue to touch on that trust. Tap into you. As you tap into you, I tap into me.
Yes,
We
wow.
tap into we. That means we are tapping into each other because it is one love, one energy, just all throughout the universe. All right. Blessings, peace, and love. And until next month, may God continue to flourish everything that you do, you, and all who surrounds you. God bless you.
Wow. Thank you.